What's up, family? What's up, YouTube? Good evening, good morning, buenas tardes, buenos dias. Thank you for visiting my channel. I'm gonna go straight into my little notes that I'm taking here regarding Archegos Capital, Mr. Bill Whuang. I'm pretty sure everybody's been hearing the news on Bill Whuang, Mr. Bill Whuang, and Archegos Capital. So, for whoever just tuning into my channel, let me spell Archegos, because basically it's pronounced a lot different than what it's spelled like. Archegos, Archegos, Capital. Bill Whuang, Bil, his last name, Hwangs. So, Mr. Bill Whuang, this is interesting to me. Interesting. Now, it brings to my mind something that I respect with all my heart and that I truly believe in, which is never bet against America. The United States is resilient, and never bet against the United States. I've heard it so many times and I believe it. And that's why I believe in the country that I was born in. And that's what makes me proud to be part of such a great country, the United States of America. Credit versus risk, and what a total return swap is. So, to my understanding, and for the record, I am not a professional investor. I'm not a journalist. This is my own personal opinion. My channel is for entertainment purposes only. And that's why I'm on YouTube. So don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. So just for the regular person out there, someone that may be working, that's just running up and down the street, that's just eating quick because you basically don't have time to just relax and you're listening to my video, let me just break it down for simple terms. So Mr. Bill Whuang, he took it a little too far, which to my understanding is this. So Mr. Bill Whuang worked for a gentleman by the name of Julian Robertson. Okay, Julian Robertson, if you look him up on Google, is an American investor. I mean, that's what it says. And his net worth is $4.5 billion. So Bill worked under Julian Robertson. So he was an independent after that. He opened up his own little management company, which was Tiger Asia Management. And he opened that in 2001, which it sounds to me like he was a very successful man that knew exactly what to do in the stock market. And why not? I mean, he graduated from one of the wealthiest guys out there in comparison to Warren Buffett and the big guys. So, yeah, he knew what he was doing. And I'm pretty sure, just like anybody that's a little bit too cocky, you get yourself in trouble. So, Mr. Bill Whuang peaked with trading stocks. He made up to $5 billion, okay? And he was having a good run. But in the year 2012, he committed fraud. So it was like insider trading. The SEC found out about it, okay? They found out Mr. Whuang did fraud. He didn't go to prison. I don't know if he had a felony, but I know he was fined $44 million by the SEC. Okay, they fined him. So it was basically like a slap on the wrist and pay us, don't do it again. Why did you do it? Maybe he played stupid. The stupidity card, I don't know. Again, this is my own personal opinion. So the guy, I guess he just loved the action. He loved the action. He loved the action from working under his boss, Julian Robertson. Then he loved the action that he, from owning his little mutual Tiger Asia Management company, up until he got caught for committing fraud. So after that, he went to a bank. He went to many banks, apparently, and told the banks that he wasn't going to trade under maybe an S corp, an LLC, or some kind of a hedge fund. He was going to use his family's money, and he wanted it to be private. He wanted to keep it on the down low, and that he had $200 million of capital, which were maybe fixed assets or capital or some kind of asset that he had, so that the banks could be used as hedge funds to allow him to buy stock, which they did. So I guess it got tempting because the guy had so much success. So he turned banks, which I guess now this is news to me. I didn't know banks had something that were called a prime brokerage, which were allowed to buy stocks on the stock market like a regular hedge fund. This is all I'm learning, so this is all news to me. So, and you can Google. Anybody can Google these things. Don't take my word for it. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just explaining my own point of view, my personal opinion. So, Bill Whuang went to the banks, told the banks he had 200 million, asked the banks if they can be used as hedge funds to allow him to keep buying stock via a prime brokerage or via something that's called a total return swap, which they did. And this is the way they broke it down. So they said, okay, you have 200 million. We'll do business with you, and we'll charge you an annual APR, annual percent rate. You pay us annually. If you don't have a good year, you pay us an APR on what we're letting you borrow for maybe a certain amount of time. But if you make a lot of money within this year, you don't pay us the APR. The bank wins money on what your capital is, on what your net income is, your gross. So he said, sure, why not? He's going to play the stock market. He's going to hedge the banks. The banks are a hedge fund. So basically, to me, a hedge fund is someone that never loses. And he basically told the bank, you do business with me, you're not going to lose. You're not going to lose in the stock market, and you're not going to lose with me. He had that much confidence. And I guess that's smooth. That the banks, basically, whoever did business with him allowed him to even do this. So he did this for 8 years and ran it successfully. And he turned his family $200 million into $10 billion. $10 billion. So he was making money for the banks. And apparently he was doing business with 6 banks. Up until the banks got margin called. And the banks were letting this guy, Mr. Bill Whuang, this gentleman who I've just basically started hearing about, between $60 to $80 billion in credit lines. So, Mr. Bill Whuang, I have a question. How many people like Mr. Bill Whuang are in the world? How many Bill Whuangs are doing this same thing with banks? And no one was ever talking about this. Like, it was on the hush-hush. It was just quiet. The banks buying stock? Why would the banks even be involved in this? I mean, the Fed bankrolled the banks. And they're doing this. This is interesting to me. Like, I don't understand. I don't know what world we live in anymore. I really don't. This is crazy. So he was buying single stock names, like an ETF. Like an ETF has many names in a fund. He was just over leveraging the banks off of one single name on probably a couple of transactions. That is a lot of volume. That's a lot of manipulation. That one man should not ever have had that control, ever. So he was basically a Wall Street bets playing YOLO calls using the bank's money on margin? That's crazy. Now, some of the news stations are basically suggesting they may be fake shares. This is crazy. So never bet against America. I'm happy that the DTCC is putting down the law, margin calling the banks. And when the banks margin called Whuang, he said, guess what? I don't have your money, banks. And you're not the only bank, because he did this to about 6 banks. So the DTCC margin called the banks margin called their customer, and he basically put the banks into a very bad situation. And now these stocks that were being manipulated are going up. This is interesting. So again, this is my personal opinion for entertainment purposes only. Do your own due diligence, do your own homework. I'm curious to know how many more Bill Whuangs are out there, how many are hiding low-key behind closed doors, using other avenues to, I don't know, short the market to their favor. 15% of the economy was under Mr. Wang's hand. I don't even know how that happened. I really don't know. I just know that we live in a great country, and I have faith in lawmakers, rule makers, and our government to make our country prosper. And if this is basically draining the swamp and getting the United States up to speed, then I'm happy I'm seeing this, because a lot of retail investors have been taken advantage of. So I'm one of them. So it's nice to see positive change, because everyone deserves positivity, being positive. Thank you for listening to me. Again, this is my own personal opinion. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button. Adios. Good night. God bless.